Welcome back to the Traders Network. I'm Michael Yorba, your host. Thanks for joining us. We're broadcasting to you live from the Dallas KFXR 1190 AM Clear Channel studios, streaming through the iHeart radio app and on yorbamedia.com. All right, first guest today, Jonathan Strimling, Chief Executive Officer of SMTP, symbol, same SMTP, Sam, Mary, Tom, Paul. Or, Jonathan, how would you say that? The acronym for your symbol?
It's the Simple Mail Transfer Protocol.
Thank you very much.
SMTP.
Thank
you, Michael. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for being on the show. Really appreciate this a lot.
Thanks for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be here.
All right, you've got 20 years of experience as an executive and entrepreneur focused on driving growth and commercializing technology. Let me back up a little bit. I want the audience to get a feel for you from you, and then we'll get right into your company because you've got just an amazing track record of success. Thank you.
Thank you, and I appreciate the intro. So my background is in operations and entrepreneurship. I actually come from a family of entrepreneurs. So growing up, I was exposed to business issues pretty early, and then I spent about 10 years working my way up through operations in large firms. Started with GE. Joined a private equity firm that would go out and help turn around middle market companies like Sweetheart Cup and other companies you probably haven't heard of that had leading positions in markets, but some challenges operationally that I helped them work through. And then I went the entrepreneur route and became involved in a number of startups and high growth companies. Most recently launched an online retailer, which we grew very, very rapidly. It was in the heating fuel business called woodpellets.com. It was a renewable heating fuel distributor, which we grew almost 400% a year for 2 years in a row during my tenure there. So it was a very, very exciting high-growth opportunity. And one of the things I got out of that was a fascination with the power of email marketing. One of the things we used to drive that growth was outbound email marketing and some very carefully controlled trials and understanding of sort of how consumers were responding to email. And part of that is what I brought into SMTP when I joined SMTP, which is a leader in email delivery.
Yes, well, let me make sure that everybody also knows something, because we all have our issues with email delivery, but you also achieved a 98% customer satisfaction rating, and from the Better Business Bureau, the Perfect Record Award. That, combined with the delivery system on your email, it stands alone. You're going to get everybody's attention. Please tell us about the company.
Sure, and just to clarify, that 98% customer satisfaction rating was actually with my prior business. Mm-hmm. We're not quite there yet with this business yet, although we are making good progress in customer service, and we actually have outstanding customer service for the industry. It's just not quite at that level yet.
Okay, well, so you've got a track record of making it get there, so let's not play that down too much. All right, tell me about your company. Sure,
so SMTP is a leader in email delivery. And many people look at me and say, well, what is email delivery? It's kind of like my phone call. I don't really think about it being delivered, but it does have to, your email messages do have to get delivered. And even as a consumer, you notice that perhaps sometimes they're not. They don't get through, or they wind up in a junk mail folder. Well, the fact of the matter is that it's getting harder and harder for legitimate commercial senders of email to get their message through that inbox. And in the same sense that a company might turn to FedEx or UPS to ensure that a package gets to a consumer's door, large commercial senders are increasingly turning to SMTP to ensure that their customers get the information they're trying to send to them through email and it reaches the inbox. That's what we do. That's at the heart of what we do.
Okay. Let's talk about some results. It's not just about sending emails. It's about achieving business results on that. Bring that out for me.
Sure. So SMTP has been in this business, as you can imagine from the name, and for those that don't know, SMTP stands for Simple Mail Transfer Protocol, which is the protocol by which all email is sent globally. We don't own the protocol. It's an open protocol, but we do own the name, and that name gets us recognition and credibility worldwide. We actually operate in 130 countries. We've grown over a period of over a decade profitably and organically, so that we're now serving 130 countries. About half of our business is in the U.S., about half is overseas. We throw off about $2 million in EBITDA on about $6 million in revenue, with a 22% profit margin. The company's been paying a regular dividend. It's actually been throwing off cash as it has grown. And then we've just reached the Nasdaq. We've just raised $11.5 million in a secondary offering. I came aboard as CEO about 6 months ago, and as part of shortly after my arrival, we've taken a much more aggressive approach to growing the business. But we want to maintain the tradition of profitability and strict cost control that the business has enjoyed, and which has allowed it to grow profitably over that long period.
All right. Let's move on to service, because that's a big deal with a lot of people, and I know it's a big deal. You might even say it's in your DNA.
Sure, yeah. No, certainly as an individual, it's something that I prided myself on at the last firm I ran, and it's something that sets us apart in the industry. And even before my arrival, we had developed an outstanding customer service team. And just to give you a sense, if you're an individual sender, you might occasionally lose an email, but it doesn't happen that often. If you're a large volume sender of email, it plagues you, because a company that like WebMD, who's one of our clients, a company that sends millions of emails a month, unfortunately, to the internet service providers, to the Googles, the Yahoos, the AOLs of the world, a company like that actually might look like a spammer, even though they have legitimate opt-in customers who actually want to receive this information. The information may not get through. And in fact is, a recent return plus study from the first half of 2013 found that only 78% of legitimate opt-in marketing email actually hits the inbox. That means 22% goes missing, or more than 1 out of 5 messages never reaches the inbox. So if you're one of our customers and you're using these emails to drive revenues, as I did in my prior job, the challenge is, I always say it's like at a sales organization, you took 1 out of 5 of your salesmen, you put a gag on them. That's terrible. You would never want to do that. So our customers care deeply about making sure this email reaches the inbox, and we provide that service to them, but we also provide a lot of service and hand-holding around that, because when there are issues, and issues do arise, how we handle them and how we respond to them on behalf of our customers is very important. So we offer 24/7 service, we offer multiple languages, and we are there to support our customers when they need help.
We've got a couple of minutes left, and I wanted to see if you can give me some insights into how your industry sector, you see it evolving before we go to the break. Sure.
So the industry sector is, first of all, the email industry overall is quite large. It's a $2 billion industry. It's going to be $3 billion by the end of the decade. It's growing.
Right.
We're a small slice of it. We've been focused on the delivery business, but delivery is a significant and one of the fastest growing sectors within the industry. We serve, you could argue, a niche application with the industry. We don't offer as broad a suite of services as many of our competitors. When we lose a customer, it's often to somebody who offers a broader suite of services. So we think we are likely to offer a broader suite of services as we move forward. That's part of our plan. We think it'll allow us to upsell additional services to our existing customers, as well as to attract a whole new class of customers into our business as the industry continues to grow.
Okay. All right. And let me stop right there and wind this down for this segment. Do you have any events or places where people can come to and find out more about SMTP?
Absolutely. So just to reiterate, we're on the NASDAQ at SMTP, Sam, Mary, Tom, Paul. We've got a strong record of delivering returns for investors. We'd welcome you to our website at smtp.com/investors to take a look at us and any of the information you might find interesting. We appreciate your interest, and we'll be back after the break, I think.
Yeah, definitely. All right. I really appreciate that. Okay. And let me say special thanks to 1-800 publicrelations.com and Monk Media for all their PR and media support. So stick around. More for Jonathan Strimling, CEO, SMTP. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Traders Network. I'm Michael Yorba, your host, broadcasting to you live from the Dallas KFXR 1190 AM Clear Channel Studios, streaming to you iHeart radio app and yorbamedia.com. I'm joined on the show with Jonathan Strimling, CEO, SMTP. And Jonathan, welcome back to the segment. Thank you for being here.
You bet.
All right.
Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. Let's turn right just a little bit and talk about growth. As they say, it takes 3 things to grow a company: solid business model, great team, and capital. Bring that out for me.
Sure. Sure, and I think that's the opportunity here with this business. So historically, we've got a proven business model. It's been operating for over a decade, profitably growing organically. But the company was very, very capital constrained historically. Less than $1 million in cumulative capital through 2013. And we've just changed that dynamic considerably. We just raised $11.5 million to allow us to move much more aggressively in growing from here forward. Also, with regard to the team, this had been a team that had been developed over a period of time internally, so that the team had not had a lot of, I'm going to say, actually, I'll just say it. The chairman of the company had been running the business on a part-time basis up through 2013, and I was brought in as a full-time CEO in August of 2013. I bring broader business experience. I quickly added a VP of marketing with great experience rapidly and cost-effectively acquiring customers. And what we've got now is we've got, the business model, which has already been proven, but we have both the capital and a much stronger team to go and drive this moving forward.
Okay. Moves without letting the cat out of the bag and saying, not saying anything you're not supposed to, but on that note, milestones, anything that you think that your company should be accomplishing as we go forward in 2014?
Sure. We've been very public about what our plans are, and it's going to be a combination of both internal organic growth and movement by acquisitions. So in terms of organic growth, we think there's real opportunities in sales and marketing to just soup up our offering and go after partnerships and new channels to market. We think there's opportunities for inorganic growth, and we think there's opportunities for product enhancement, as I referenced earlier, that can bring new people into the fold in our customer base. In terms of inorganic growth, we've been very public that it is our intent to go out into the market and make acquisitions. We think we can bolt on products and services that are synergistic in three regards. One, we think we can find alternative channels to market and different sets of customers. Two, we think the products can be complementary so that there'll be a technical complementarity which will help our existing customers and also provide our existing services to new customers. And finally, we think this could be financially creative. The multiples that we see in the public markets are different than some small private firms we might acquire. We think we can acquire earnings, and that just the increase in multiples will also be financially creative. So that's our plan going forward.
Okay. The types of customers, because you're kind of a behind the scenes kind of a company, you know what I mean? It's not like your Kellogg's Corn Flakes out in the front, but yet you're the delivery system for Kellogg's Corn Flakes. Tell me about the kind of customers you have and the other types of customers that you think are going to be attracted to you as you implement the new processes with your new leadership role.
Sure, yeah, and we can't deliver cornflakes by email just yet, but we're working on it.
Okay.
But in terms of the customers that we do deliver for, it ranges from large Fortune corporations down to smaller companies that send significant volumes. Many people in the markets are familiar with Constant Contact. Constant Contact is a great way for a business, a small business, to get started on sending email. But when the email scales up from there, from when I started with Constant Contact, we were sending 10 or 20,000 emails a month. As you scale up to 500,000 emails a month, or 1 million emails a month, or 5 or 10 or 100 million emails a month, you outgrow a platform like that, and that's when customers will turn to a service like ours to make sure that these emails hit the inbox.
Okay. We briefly touched on it on the other segment, but you're in the wheelhouse. You're driving the ship, and you've got a commanding role of technology in your space. And what I'm trying to find from you is your vision of how you see this space evolving into the next thing, because I'm sure especially in your industry sector, it's really a fast-paced evolution. Where do you think this is going to go, whether it's using SMTP for delivery to phones, or how do you see this whole thing evolving so people can really get more bang for their buck when they're using services like yours?
Sure. So certainly, mobile is a trend we're seeing across all
Right.
tech markets, and more and more people are reading their email on mobile devices.
Mm-hmm.
We recently did make an acquisition of a company called Preview My Email, which allows our customers to be able to look at how their emails will look on mobile devices, and that's a value-added service we can provide to customers. So you're right that is a trend. The other trends that I would point out are twofold. One, the front-end processing and the creation of email and sort of the campaign management is somewhat, to some extent, becoming commoditized. There are multiple players that can provide it. And people know how to use the systems, and there's a little bit less education and novelty to it. But what's getting harder is really the back-end systems about delivery. So it is actually the fact that the delivery of commercial email is getting harder and harder and harder for commercial senders, and more they're turning to an outsourced provider like ours. So we think the macro trends in the industry do play to the advantage of a delivery provider like us. And as we add some additional front-end services to make it easier for our customers to add and create and modify their emails, that also plays to our advantage.
Well, without letting the cat out of the bag, you really piqued my curiosity. What type of new additional services are you going? I mean, if you haven't said it, don't say it here. But what type of new additional services are you going to be able to provide people that are going to enhance the ROI for them?
Sure. And again, we've been very public about this because we think we're in a strong position, and we think we can be pretty upfront about our strategy. One of the things that we've said is that, and we have our customers saying this to us, if we could provide a more integrated platform, which provided additional front-end services, which provided additional analytics, which provided additional services related to mobile, they would be more apt to come to us for all of those services instead of just the delivery. So we have a very strong backbone in delivery, but we haven't offered the complete package to our customers. And I think that's a trend, in terms of the direction we're going to go. And we're not going to build all that ourselves. It doesn't make sense. These solutions exist. There are myriad small companies out there in the market that serve these various niches. But we could pull some together and offer a more complete offering to our customers, and we think that's also accretive to our investors.
Okay. I'm looking at your website now, and on the top it says solutions, and I just clicked down there. It says SMTP server, and then it says email marketeer. Tell me about that, email marketeer.
So that's a front-end application that our customers can use to compose their emails, to manage their campaigns. You can think of it like a Constant Contact. Mm-hmm. It actually doesn't have all the bells and whistles of Constant Contact, but it's actually to some extent it's a simpler interface. It's a more streamlined package that some of our customers prefer for sending their emails.
Okay, and the your analytics, I would imagine, because that's a big thing with me. I use email to get the word out, and there's a lot of us that do. The analytics, the type of drill down analytics that come to the surface with your service. Tell me about those, because that is the difference in high end marketing. When people ask you for information, well, show me your analytics. What's going on there? So bring that out for us.
So, with our email marketer, you can get the usual statistics that one would be, expecting to get. So to find out if the email went through, to find out if it was opened, if it was clicked on. In addition, with our Preview My Email acquisition, we've actually acquired some capabilities for more sophisticated analytics, including geolocations, reading time, and some enhanced visibility, as well as I had described, we acquired the ability to show our customers what this looks like on a variety of different kinds of screens and devices. Mm-hmm. So those are all capabilities that we're working to bolt on and add to our offering. And again, these are areas where we're also looking at acquisitions where, as you can imagine, big data is another huge trend in the industry. And there's certainly some opportunities from both strategic and in terms of acquisitions from perspective of helping our customers use their data to their advantage.
You've mentioned throughout the entire conversation little breadcrumbs here, little breadcrumbs there about what you're doing internally with your business. We've got about 2.5, 3 minutes left in the segment. I wanted to hear from you from a business point of view, you driving this company as a CEO. What's going on for the investors out there saying, you know what, I think I need to pick some of this stuff up for me? What would an investor want to know from your perspective about your company going forward?
So as I had described, SMTP has a strong history of organic growth, mm-hmm. and it's been profitable the whole way. Yep. So SMTP has a strong history of cost control and while controlling driving growth. But where SMTP has not excelled historically has been in the sales and marketing area. So when I came aboard, we had a very, very small sales team in the U.S., which consisted of just 2 people. And we actually did not have anybody in a full-time role in marketing. The first hire I made was our vice president of marketing, who's quite skilled in cost-effective customer acquisition. And we want to apply the same cost discipline to acquiring customers that we've been applying to our operations and our delivery practices on the technical side of the business. So we have a healthy blend of U.S.-based sales and marketing and overseas technical operations and support, which has allowed us to maintain a very competitive cost structure while still growing the business profitably. So that's a little bit about how SMTP has succeeded historically, as well as where we're going in the future.
All right, wonderful. Great news. All right, one last time, contact information for you before we go, and if there's anything that you, public speaking events or demonstration models or anything of that nature you wanted to tell our audience about, now's the time to do it.
Sure. So your listeners can find out more about SMTP at smtp.com. So that's Sam, Mary, Tom, Paul. We are on the NASDAQ on the same ticker, SMTP. And you can look on our website under the investor section for the appropriate information that will be helpful to you in evaluating if this is appropriate. I think the other thing I would just suggest to your listeners is go ahead and look at the comparables. Take a look at our earnings relative to other players in the email space. Go ahead and take a look at our growth rates. Go ahead and take a look at the fact that we provide dividends, and then go ahead and look at our multiples and draw your own conclusions about whether or not this investment would make sense for you. But it's SMTP, and we're at smtp.com.
Jonathan, it's been a real pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. Jonathan Strimling, CEO, SMTP. That's the same as the symbol, smtp.com. And special thanks to Monk Media and 1-800-publicrelations.com for all their PR and media support. We'll be right back on the other side of this break with Bruce Bedrick, CEO of Medbox. MDBX is the symbol. Very controversial. You will like what you're going to hear next. We'll be right back.